Hey everyone, Josh here with the NYC Godcast, where we offer wacky wisdom each week from God's Word. So on today's episode, we're continuing with our theme on rest as we're talking about the Christian conundrum of labor and laziness. So stay tuned as we talk about yokes today. So today, I want to talk about one of the most famous verses in Christianity. Growing up in church, it's not unusual to hear this verse quoted and testified and preached and sung about on a regular basis. Whenever we go through a difficult dilemma, a trying time, or stressful situation, we tend to pull this verse out of our pocket for a refreshing reminder.
Yep.
And yet, as we've been learning all month, I really believe that we really just need to reset our mind on what rest is and what Jesus is trying to tell us here. So take a look with me at Matthew chapter 11, verse 20 through 30. It says this: "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls." Mm-hmm. How beautiful is it that Jesus starts this verse by telling us to come to him? Mm-hmm. Yes. He doesn't say to work our way to him, to build our way to him, to earn our way to him. He just says, come to where I'm at. Yep. The word that Jesus uses here for come is actually a command, or more of a like urgent plea or desire, right?
Like, get over here right now.
Yeah, kind of. Like, maybe a little nicer, but reverently, come. In other words, as Jesus sees us striving, he sees us trying and working and toiling, he begs us, please, please come to me. Come to the place where your rest can be found. But then notice that the word come is also in the present tense, so I love this. So Jesus doesn't say someday come or you have came, but he says now come, meaning no matter where you find yourself, no matter what's going on, no matter how overwhelmed you might be right now, Jesus is calling you to come. And now, and now, and now, and now, and now, he's calling us to come to him. And now. It's like the SpongeBob.
What about now?
At the end?
The SpongeBob episode.
Which one?
And the next day.
And the next day.
And the next day.
Phone rings.
And the next day. And the next day. Jesus says, Jesus says, come to me. Mm-hmm. But I noticed that Jesus doesn't call for just anybody to come. He does put a stipulation on this. And I think this is where we go a little bit awry sometimes in our testimonies and in our preachings and in our songs, because Jesus doesn't say, everybody come. Mm-hmm. He only has specific people, invite only. Who is he inviting? Well, he says, he doesn't call for just any old saint in a seat. He doesn't call for any person in a pew. Jesus says, those who labor and are heavy laden, you may come. And so if you're tired, worn down, exhausted from life's labors, then his promise is for you. Yeah. Jesus beckons those who labor to come to him. If we will, he promises us rest. Mm-hmm. The ironic thing that I believe we typically miss in church today is that Jesus offers us what he offers us when we come to him in rest. Because I think a lot of times we hear this in a testimony, we hear this in a song, we hear this in a message, and we think, you know what, we come to him and he gives us rest, and it's all just daisies from there. Like, it's all puppy dog tail sunshine and like all smooth sailing. And that's not at all what the verse said. Yeah. It doesn't even say relaxation. No. It doesn't say things will be easy or smooth or even simple or endurable. Mm-hmm. In fact, what Jesus does say is, if you'll come to me, I'll give you more work. Yep. That's literally what the verse says. That's what we're going to dive into. So the ironic thing is that when we're worn out, when we're exhausted and heavy laden, we need to come to Jesus. Mm-hmm. And in our minds, we expect him to pat us on the back and to tell us it's okay and to tuck a nice weighted blanket around us. Mm-hmm. Yet instead, Jesus goes on to tell us that if we are weary from working and if we will come to him and rest, he's actually going to give us something else, not a weighted blanket. He's going to give us a yoke. Gee, thanks, Jesus.
So I just want to back this up for a second. And you said specifically, like, he's calling a specific person, okay? And it's the laden, okay? Yep. So if you're not with Jesus, then you would qualify. Because if everyone spoke honestly, okay, if you're not already with him, then you are laden and you're working. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yep. So it's kind of like saying, like, not everyone, but everyone.
But everyone. Yeah, it's an honesty thing. Because like thinking of the Pharisees, like what did you say? I came for the sick, not for those who were. And like the
Right.
Pharisees were sick.
Yeah.
Yes,
They just
yes.
wouldn't admit they were sick.
Right,
And so it's the same thing.
exactly.
The Pharisees were heavy laden. They just
Yeah.
wouldn't admit they were heavy laden.
Right.
So they were not
right.
invited.
So this is more or
Yeah.
less, you know,
You have to come to the realization that
Yeah.
you're
You have to
Yes.
admit. Yep. Yep.
so admitting that you're a sinner
Absolutely.
and need a savior.
Yep.
Okay.
So a yoke. So we have always joked
bakery.
that if we ever opened up a bakery, we were going to call it the Easy Yoke Bakery. And I stand by that being a brilliant idea. That has nothing to do with today's episode, but I still think that's a brilliant idea.
But none of us
We'll
have
ever
the
own a
time.
bakery.
Yeah.
So a yoke is, if you're not familiar, it's not a relaxation mechanism.
No, it's an egg.
It is an egg. It's part of an egg. It's not even the full egg. But no, this yoke that we're talking about is actually farm equipment. And so if you're gonna go watch TV, you're probably not gonna wear a yoke.
No.
If you go on vacation, you're probably not gonna wear a yoke. If you want to go,
You may take a picture with it, yo.
but you probably won't wear it.
You won't wear it.
They won't let
You'll
you
be next
through,
to it.
through TSA with the yoke.
Yes.
You're not.
Put your head in it probably.
If you're going to go hang out in a hammock, read a book, you're probably not going to wear a yoke. Don't try it; that would be dangerous.
Yeah.
I just see someone writing me hate
You'll
mail.
get-
I tried it. I have
Stuck
injuries.
inside of it.
Calling their lawyer, and it's don't
They're
try
still
it.
swinging today.
Instead, in all of his infinite wisdom, Jesus recognizes that what results in most rest and what we need as weary people is to take up his yoke. So what is a yoke? So again, it's farm equipment. It's this wooden hanging thing that your head goes through, right? And so a yoke is a symbol of submission. If an animal wears a yoke on a farm, it has been broken, right? You don't put wild animals on a yoke. You put farm animals on a yoke. They've been broken of their will. This animal has left behind their will and their ways. This animal is at the mercy, the direction, the pull of the yoke that it's in. And yet Jesus doesn't invite us who are weary to just any old yoke. But notice what Jesus says here, take my yoke. Jesus invites us to his yoke. I found this really fascinating. This is actually from the book Rest that we're giving away this month by Marianne Howard. But this is quite fascinating to me. In the ancient world, a yoke would begin as a piece of wood, and they would actually take two animals and they would lay the piece of wood across the two animals, and they would carve the yoke to the specific animal. Which maybe means nothing to you, but I find that rather fascinating.
Yeah.
So within the yoke, there would always be one lead ox, and another submissive ox. And so notice what Jesus says here, take my yoke and learn from me. One of the reasons a lot of Christians are so worn out and so weary is because they have yet to submit their lives and their will and their way to Jesus, who is our lead ox.
Yep.
He's in this thing with us. His life is to be leading our way, and yet here they are trying to take the lead from Jesus. And it leaves us weary and exhausted and worn out. They've yet to allow their will to be broken down, to take up their cross and follow him. And so they've yet to submit and surrender their lives to his purposes. And as a result, they're constantly resisting this yoke that they were made for. Rest can only be found in submitting to Jesus to take the lead in our lives and allowing him to lead us in his purposes that we've been fitted for in the kingdom of heaven.
You know, we kind of just look ridiculous. Like, if you're supposed to be this, like, if you have, you look at animals pulling, or even if you think of like sled dogs, if like the dog in the back is trying to be the lead dog, it looks ridiculous.
He's fat and has one eye, two legs.
And like the person that's riding the sled is like who's doing this. You know what I mean? Like they're like flying, hitting tree branches and stuff. Like it looks ridiculous when you're not supposed to be in that spot, and that's what we do. And then it's heavier because you're doing this job that you're not supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. We weren't cut out for it.
No.
But what's fascinating is, again, so this yoke is specific to the two. So imagine if Jesus is inviting us to this in the ancient world, he would have, as he's saying this, known that a piece of wood was perfectly fitted to these two animals. So obviously we know Jesus fits this yoke perfect. It was carved to him. But he's inviting you to join him. And so that means the work you are doing with him, you were also perfectly suited for in the kingdom of heaven.
Yep.
Right.
So here he is. He's giving you a job that you are perfectly suited for, carved for, but he's also giving you he's taking the lead. And so he's pulling the weight of this work. And so again, rest is only found by submitting to Jesus and letting him take the lead in our lives. And so if you find yourself laboring for a cause that you've never been tasked with, you're going to remain weary. If you try and take up the lead from the Lord, then you're going to remain worn out. As Christians, we have been fit in our faith to yoke up with Jesus, who will take the lead and guide us in the calling that God's given to our lives.
And I think that this is one thing that really just takes Christianity away from all other religions. Jesus doesn't own the yoke.
Yeah.
he's in the yoke.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, it's not he's up here and not like willing to help you and like, you're just supposed to do this work and I won't help you with it. He is right there next to you doing this, and he's the one that's making it easy on
Thought
you.
it not to be robbery to be equal with God, but humbled himself
Yes.
to become as us. And so he became a servant for us. And that is what separates Christianity from all other religions. He's not some distant deity. He is in the yoke. Like he's doing the work beside us. What God sweats with his people. You know what I mean? Like that's Christianity.
Well, think about like how you think of even in like worldly sense. Like if you have a manager, there's managers that you don't like because they don't want to help nobody.
There's a reason Undercover Boss was such a phenomenon.
Yeah,
like, we're
exactly.
like, what are they doing?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. There's managers that don't want to do
Yeah.
anything, and they're just like they're the head person, and
God
then there's
is the
managers that get in
ultimate
there.
Undercover Boss.
Yes,
He is.
he's number one. But that's honestly what it is.
Yeah.
It's the difference between what's the getting dirt on your boots and not. That's like the difference.
So it's obvious here that Jesus calls Christians both to work and rest. Like that's what I think we miss a lot of times in our testimonies and our songs is like, we'll come to Jesus, we'll get rest, and then we stop. No. He says two things, yoke, work, and then he says, learn of me, work.
Yeah.
Come to me for rest, and we will work, and we will work.
Yeah.
That's what Jesus says here.
Yeah.
So what does it look like to go through life yoked with Jesus and to labor from a place of rest? I have given this illustration so many times. You don't get to hear it as often as they do, but you are tireless. I'm sure you have complete confidence where we're going here. But imagine that you're a tiny little flea.
It's really an ant, isn't it?
Isn't it?
I thought it was a fly.
Oh wow! Apparently, I'm inconsistent in my.
You saying flea makes me think of Emperor's New Groove.
Okay, we'll go with an ant. We'll go with an
That's
ant.
what it was before.
So imagine you are a little ant, right? And you are a tiny little ant. And imagine that you place your head inside of this double yoke. And as you look out, you see this endless field that you must plow. Some of us feel anxiety right now.
I am a little ant.
She's really in this story.
I'm in the store and I don't like it.
And that's how most of us live lives. You have this endless field that has to be plowed. That is
Yep.
your job in life. That is your job in Christianity. And it's overwhelming and it's wearisome and it's exhausting. But you must plow.
Yeah.
And so you pull, you yank, you try with all you've got to plow this field. And as a result of your labor, you're exhausted and you're worn out. Because if you're honest, you are a measly ant and you're ill-equipped, ill-suited, and unable to do what's being asked of you. An ant can't plow a field, can't even pull a yoke with nothing on it. Your efforts have left you heavy laden. And this is how most of us live our lives. This is how most Christians operate, is in this exhausted, worn out state. We just don't understand we're end in sight. We can't get done what needs done. We can't be what we're supposed to be. Yet imagine with your head inside the yoke as a little ant. Imagine a 7-foot, 2-inch Belgian horse walks up to you.
Why 2-inch?
That's the tallest Belgian horse that's ever been in existence. That's why.
That's fine.
I also do my homework.
Wow.
So imagine the 7'2" Belgian horse walks up to you. He's got bulging veins and muscles all over. This horse places his head inside of the yoke beside you, and he begins to pull the plow in your field. Where the horse goes, you have to go. When he speeds up, you have to speed up. Suddenly, from within this yoke, you are working, you're laboring, you are actually plowing from a place of rest.
Yep.
Why? Because you're in his yoke now. Jesus, the Belgian horse, is doing the doing. He's providing the progress. He's making the means for plowing your field. There's no comparison between relying on your efforts and now trusting in his efforts. This Belgian horse could look at you and say, because you have taken up my yoke upon you, I have given you rest. Not inactivity, not laziness, not slothfulness, but if you will take up his yoke, continue working, continue doing, Christ will give us rest. I don't know about anybody else, but that has been pretty monumental in my life, learning that. I think there's two pitfalls here. We either think, oh, I'm in Jesus, I'm in Christ, the work is finished, he calls me to rest, and so I'm not doing squat until heaven. Wrong.
Yeah.
Jesus, no, would not like that.
He says no.
Wrong. But then the other is our tendency of, I have to, I need to,
contribute.
I have to
Yeah.
make this happen. And that's also unbiblical and wrong. That's what the Pharisees did. That's not correct.
Yeah.
Instead, we are called to his rest through his labor. We join him in the work. One of my favorite verses that Jesus said while on earth is, I don't remember what it is in KJV, but just the Father worketh until I join him in the work. There's a henceforth in there, but I don't remember where it goes. The Father works until I join him. And so God is always working around us. He's always laboring. He's always doing. Yeah. What he's waiting on is for us to join him. Yeah. We are to accomplish his will on this earth, but that's not supposed to be a laborious thing, a heavy laden thing.
Our job is just to abide. That's
exactly. Exactly right. Abide. Yep. So. Well, today's considerable quote is actually from the book Rest that we're giving away this month by Marianne Howard, and she says this: rest is a call to turn from whatever we are presently depending on toward him. It's an invitation to intimate fellowship. He promises us the rest of a real, personal, and divine friendship. Jesus is not asking for your help. He's offering his. And so we are giving away the book Rest this month by Marianne Howard. A great, great, great book. Only a couple more weeks to enter to win. All you have to do is comment or share today's episode or this month's episodes. And every single time you do, your name will be entered in. Next week, we will be drawing a winner for the book. We will mail it right to your house. And so please make sure to comment and share. This book is so well worth reading and winning. Today's featured content is actually a camp song from 2015.
15
was not a fan.
Not a fan. So
Was it not that year? 14.
14 was Christ.
14. I think it was 14.
14.
That was Craving Christ.
I'm pretty sure it's 14. Doesn't matter. The featured song. Today's featured song is "Come to the Well" by Casting Crowns, and so go check that out. All right. Today's trivia challenge. So last week's answer was C?
7.
You thought I couldn't remember a year's time or a week's time. And here I am remembering both because it's the same answer. 7 hours.
Screen
Yes,
time.
that's the. What am I saying? Yeah, 7.
7 hours
C
this weekend.
7.
Really sounded like a really bad SpongeBob near 7 hours.
7 hours later.
Wow, that's amazing because just a little fun fact here is that like in China, if you're under 18, like you are severely limited on your screen time.
Yep.
And I believe it's only on the weekend and it's only like 3 hours a day. So 3 hours Saturday, 3 hours Sunday, and then Monday through Friday.
Americans just
We were talking about this
Exactly. So that's
last
like-
week, obviously, with your episode. Well, actually yours too. But it should be some writing on the wall when the makers of the phone, so like Apple, is putting, like, you can now set up warnings that you're using me too much.
Like these Americans, you get reports every
You get
week.
reports that say, yeah, you used me a lot more this week than last week, but it's going up from here. Like, that should tell us something. But anyways, so...
Birthday. That's birthday.
No, we're not there yet. We're going to the trivia challenge.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So today's trivia challenge for this week is how much weight can a Belgian horse pull?
Ooh.
How much horsepower does it have?
I see what you did there. I was thinking waffle powered.
Belgian horse.
Okay.
Waffle's a word. I know everyone thought that didn't make sense. No, that made perfect grammatical
did.
sense, but you all
It's because
didn't.
you paused
I
there.
know.
It just
Yeah, you can't pause before your waffle. Okay. How much weight can a Belgian horse pull? 5,000 pounds, 2,500 pounds, 6,500 pounds, or 8,000 pounds? How much weight can a Belgian horse pull? Can a Belgian horse... I'm thinking of a woodchuck chuck, but you can't do that with horses. That's ridiculous.
How much weight can a Belgian horse pull if
See,
a Belgian horse could pull weight?
That was beautiful. Check my
You get a raise.
We will double your salary here at the NYC podcast. All right, today's birthday
2 times 0 is
announcements.
0.
Ariana Vargas, Matthew Pond, our own Miguel Barbosa,
Wow.
Hope Hensley, and Jalesa Capper. Happy birthday. We have no comments this week, and so please write us so we have something to say.
We just have we open up the mailbox and there's a spider web in it.
All right, well, tune in next week as we wrap up the series Rest. Hope it has been a blessing to you. Hope it has been challenging and encouraging and intriguing. Until next time, we'll see you.
Bye, guys.
Jeans, beans, tomatoes, potatoes, lamb, ham, you name it.
Don't know that.
I don't want to be here right now.
It's gonna be confused. Marker.